Hi, good morning.
Hello and good morning. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic, and feel blessed that I'm getting the opportunity to share some real conversation with you, because you guys are really onto something right now, and I'm sure your research shows this, that people are starting to talk about full albums again. And look at you, talking about the 100 best.
You know, I love that you brought that up because that has been my takeaway. And one of the greatest joys that I've had with this experience with Apple Music's 100 Best is that it's such a great reminder to slow down and appreciate an album as a body of work, as a piece of art, and celebrate the story, celebrate the pain, celebrate the joy, and really celebrate the moment that they're driving us to.
I'm blessed with the opportunity to talk with a lot of the singer-songwriters that are up and coming, and a lot of them who are still unknown are doing exactly that. They are making full albums, and they're giving them to those that want to listen. And that's the thing that I love about Apple, is that Apple is right there with them in the way of saying, hey, look, there is a matter of choice from radio.
But it's so, like you're saying, it's so important. I mean, I think how we consume music right now in 2024 is so different than it was back in the day. You know, back in the day, you probably bought your favorite vinyl and you waited in line, or you went to, Sam Goody and got your favorite CD and you ripped the plastic off and you go home, and listening to the entire thing from top to bottom was a moment. And you really focused only on that. I can't remember the last time I just sat and listened to music. I'm usually, you hear it on a reel, or you hear it in TikTok, and sometimes a taste of a song will go viral before an artist has an opportunity to create the whole song. And then it goes viral, and they're like, oh my God, I got to create a whole song around it, or I got to have an album. It's just such a cool reminder, and it's so encouraging to be like, you know what if we just stopped and spent time with one album and slowed down and really tried to understand the moment that they're taking us to, the story that they're trying to tell. And that's one of the reasons I'm really excited about what we're doing. It's a real thoughtful approach.
You guys are helping out in a huge way, because last week I was with John Oates, and he was telling me that the new record store, people like Apple, because that's where people are going to find the music. That is the new Tower Records.
Well, yeah, and just like we're talking about, I think if you want to have this moment with any of these 100 albums, they all have that, I keep calling it the crockpot effect, where you can just set it and forget it. All of these albums are so impactful and powerful in their own way. The storytelling is there, and you can have that moment with each of them, even if there's so many on this list that maybe that I wasn't familiar with or hadn't spent time with, and it's been a cool opportunity to try to go do that. And at Apple Music, you can have the similar experience, but in modern times, where you can pull up the album, and our editorial team has done such a fantastic job with their words, thoughtfully describing each album, giving you context around it, and then the level of detail that we go to bring humans and Shine and everyone who's involved in these albums and these different songs. You can go there and view credits. You can see who played horns. You can see who played drums. You can see who the songwriters are, who the mixing engineers are. The production is there. You can follow along with time-synced lyrics. I'm the person who watches TV, and I have the captions up there because I want to read it as I'm watching it, as weird as that sounds. So when I listen to music, I love doing that as well. And I don't know if you do that either, but it's just looking through the lyrics, seeing what they're trying to say, and it really adds a more intimate way of listening.
One of the things that you guys are doing is that you're encouraging binge listening in the way that you're releasing 10 of these albums a week. And that to me is that gives me something to look forward to.
That's actually a really cool way to describe it, because for me, it's been incredibly grueling and a joyful process, but 10 albums at a time, to your point, when we first jumped on the phone, and a lot of people I'm talking to today, we've been under scrutiny because people are so passionate about their music and their choices. So the last 10 days has been an argument. We all came together to try to find consensus with this, and it wasn't easy. We didn't put this list together based on streaming or commercial success. We put it together on, driven by our editorial team and input from, incredible songwriters and producers and artists like Maren and Pharrell, Balvin, the iconic Nia Archives. We're like, man, how can we come up with a list that isn't genre-specific, that celebrates and lifts up albums and storytelling and has, impact and pop culture impact, and personally resonates with our group of people? Man, finding consensus on that was like pulling teeth. There were relationships that were lost, relationships that were formed as we all kind of were passionately trying to champion our favorites. And it was such a cool process to be a part of. And look, I think anytime we can widen the conversation about what makes an album great and get people talking about music, I think it's a win.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I'm so glad that you went that deep with this. And the reason being is because so many times that we get to meet the drummer of a band and we're going, oh, you did? You did that band too? And we know nothing about them. And that's why we need to have these album covers and things.
Absolutely. There's so many songs, like even Frank Ocean is in our top 5, and he's on Pink and Beyonce is on the track Pink and White. And you may not know and you may not recognize the vocal because it doesn't overpower the song. But then you go back and you're like, wow, that's incredible. So we see the different artists. Carole King, one of the most incredible, massive songwriters of all time, is one of the artists that I've been getting to know more deeply in her relationship with James Taylor. And there's so many songs that I didn't realize that she wrote until I spent time with her album Tapestry, which is on the list.
So many new names on this list. That's what's really interesting about this, is that we think we know what the top 100 are because so many lists have been made. But this is surprising. It's a shocker.
Yeah, what I really love about it too is that this list, we are a third female in our 100 best. It's like a welcome change in championing so many more female-led projects. Like, the music industry has offered limited opportunities for female voices on different lists of the past to offer their own, album-length statements, really, like, until the 20th century. Yeah. So we were lacking a true 50-50 split as far as that goes, but we're improving the number by about double than what you typically see in a top 100 list. This list of Apple Music's 100 Best also has the 90s as its center, which is a huge shift considering usual all-time lists of albums has been focused around the album era of the 60s and 70s. And so these legendary albums, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, Bob Marley, Stevie Wonder, they made the list, Carole King, but you also have right against it Wu-Tang. You have Dr. Dre's The Chronic. You have newer artists, Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish, records that we've been loving the last 5-10 years that are also getting shined. And so that's really lovely to see.
I feel so guilty about being on the air because, radio people have controlled so much of what is on that list in the way that, radio has labeled this as one of the top hits. And one of the things that you guys are doing is you're introducing listeners to, hey, just because it wasn't on the radio doesn't mean that it wasn't a great seller and it's not one of the best albums of all time.
So many of these projects, too, like even Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique, critically was not accepted, initially. And then later was seen to be, wow. Beastie Boys, I think License to Ill would have been my choice. But, Paul's Boutique, it's given me an opportunity to go back and really hear the brilliance of that album.
Wow. Are you guys going to turn this into some sort of podcast? Because you could sit down with 100 albums and have an entire hour program every single week.
Well, I think we've done I love what we've done with this. I've been in radio for 20 years, so coming in and working at Apple and doing live radio 4 years ago. I've got my own show on our hit station, Apple Music Hits. We've really been able to support this 100 Best process, doing a bunch of live radio specials. There's, daily specials. There's deep dives for every single album. You can check it out on Apple Podcasts. We've really tried to make it super easy. If you want in-depth analysis of each album, and make it easy for fans, too, to share their favorite albums with friends on their social channels. We have a beautiful microsite that it's so lovely, it's so beautifully put together. If you go to 100best.music.apple.com, which I know is a mouthful. You can also go to Apple Music if you want. But that microsite is so incredible. Again, it has all the album information. Our brilliant editorial team contextualizes each album with their album notes. The graphics are there. It's just a really cool experience. So definitely, if you have time, please check that out.
God, this is going to be so great for the summer of 2024. Please come back to this show anytime in the future.
It would be an absolute honor. You're so fun to talk to. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Back at you. Thank you. I'll try. I feel like I'm running on fumes, but I'm, driven by joy and just incredibly proud of this project we put together, this very modern 21st century list of the greatest records ever made. So please go enjoy, and thanks again so much.